topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Hi, and welcome to Chasing Purpose. I'm your host, Kathleen Conner, and I am thrilled to be here today. And if today is your first time here, I'm glad you found your way in, and I hope you stay a while. If you've been here before, welcome back. Today's conversation is for anyone who feels the urgency, let me say that again, and the pressure to move, to decide, to respond, and to fix something, anything. It's when urgency, you can't fully explain why it's there. And it's not there because you're behind. It's not there because you're failing. It's the urgency is a way of convincing capable people like yourselves that speed equals progress. And it doesn't. If you're living a life with a low hum in the background, saying things like, you need to handle this, you should respond, you can't fall behind. This episode is going to feel like someone has finally turned the volume down on that low hum. If you're listening while driving, while walking a dog, folding laundry, looking up at the ceiling or at your phone, maybe you're sitting in your car before you walk into the grocery store or into a business meeting, just knowing that you're going to perform at just a fine level, looking great from the outside, but feeling horrible from the in. You're in the right room, because today we're going to slow things down. We're not going to get stuck. We're not going to get stuck in the muck. We're going to stay and get aligned, because let's face it, you can't hustle your way into peace. So let's get started. Let me start with a rule that I swear, is one that's the most accurate life rule that no one ever talks about. It's a metaphor, really, and I call it the haunted house rule. It's when decisions feel scary. We tend to rush. We look for quick action, and action always equals speed. And speed can feel like control. Think about it. Think about the haunted house. When was the last time you saw someone move slowly through a haunted house? Never. Because you don't see people strolling when they're afraid. You don't see people pausing to appreciate the decor of the haunted house. You see people sprinting like their life depends on it. Their blood is pumping and their heart is racing. And in a haunted house, moving fast with speed makes sense. It's dark, it's spooky, it's scary. And your nervous system yells, get me out of here, move. And speed at that moment feels like safety. In life, though, speed is how we miss what we actually need to see. Let me tell you, haunted house rule is saying that the faster you move, the less you see. Fear doesn't always stop us, certainly not, but fear often rushes us. It's when fear is driving that clarity doesn't disappear, it gets trampled on. Urgency sounds productive. It feels responsible, feels like we're doing our duties and the honorable thing. It tends to wear a costume. Urgency's favorite costume is often productivity. It shows up holding a clipboard and tapping it loudly, like that low hum, telling us that time is running out. Do something, handle it, decide, fix it, say something before it's too late. Urgency never whispers, and urgency often kicks down the door in the middle of the night. When you're at your peak of anxiety, it wants you to do something. And if you're the kind of person who's capable, and I know you are, you're responsible, you're good under pressure, urgency tends to find you. It tends to find all of us, because urgency loves confident people. Confident people make urgency look effective. Here's what hurts when saying this. You can be confident, of course, and still be hijacked by urgency. You can be smart and efficient and still spiral. You can be steady in every area of your life. Everything looks perfect from the outside, and one certain situation can flip the whole thing on its side. Not because you're weak, but because you're human. Let's name it cleanly. Urgency is not always an emergency. Urgency is often fair, wearing and bringing that clipboard, tapping your list, saying do something, anything, even if it's wrong, especially if it's wrong. Here's how you know it's urgency and not clarity. Clarity feels steady. Urgency feels like pressure. Clarity feels like truth. And urgency feels like adrenaline, heart racing, blood pumping. Clarity is quiet. Urgency is often loud. And clarity makes you more present where urgency makes you more reactive. Clarity can expand your options and your vision. And urgency narrows down things, like you're looking and being in a tunnel. Urgency creates movement, and clarity slows things down to create direction. Motion and urgency loves applause, and direction loves results. Some of you are moving fast, checking boxes, crossing off your list, adding to it. You're on top of things, and you're still not feeling okay. It's because you're not moving towards what you want. Sure, you're completing things, but you're moving away from things that feel uncomfortable. That's not growth. That's what I call escape with good branding. Urgency can be useful, certainly. Real emergencies occur, they exist. A car swerves into your lane, and urgency helps. A dog runs into the street. Urgency helps. You have an emergency at work, a deadline, an unexpected task that lands on your calendar. And urgency steps up and helps you decide on what to do. We're talking about today is different. We're talking about the kind of urgency where nothing is on fire, yet your body feels like it is. Your body's acting like it is. The kind of urgency where a late reply feels like a disaster. The kind of urgency where pause feels like abandonment or rejection. The kind of urgency that feels like the unknown is unbearable. And the kind of urgency turning a normal decision into a high stakes trial. It's like waking up every day and preparing for the courtroom, even though we don't know how. And before I go deeper, I want to say something out loud, especially for my high performers. Urgency is not a character flaw, not at all. Urgency is a nervous system state, a state you can learn to recognize, a state you can learn to interrupt, and a state you can learn to outgrow. Now, urgency is persuasive. It has a voice, it has lines, and it often comes with a full script. There are things in that script that it tells you. One of those things is, if I don't handle this now, it will get worse. Often no. Often what gets worse is your overthinking. And often what gets worse is your emotional peak, your anxiety. Often what gets worse is the story and the hypotheticals that you keep writing. And what else does it tell you? It tells you, if I respond fast, I'll feel better. Sometimes what you feel is relief, not always better. And with relief maybe comes regret. You feel annoyed with yourself that you responded too quickly. And then back to that courtroom feeling. And maybe the third thing that it might tell you is, if you don't act, that you're powerless. Not acting is not powerlessness. Not acting is a choice. And not acting is restraint. Not acting is wisdom. And not acting is refusing to sprint anymore. Something that feels uncertain is a conversation you haven't had, a decision you haven't made, a change you didn't expect, and an outcome you can't control. And maybe it's a silence that you can't interpret. Your nervous system goes, uh-oh, what do I need to do? So you speed up. You start doing, you start fixing, you start planning, overthinking, and over-explaining. You rehearse the outcomes even before you gather the data. You draft the text, you send them, you wish you didn't. You check your phone nonstop. You're not crazy looking for movement and wanting it. You're just trying to regulate it. And your brain is trying to get you back to certainty. When you can't find certainty, it tries to create control, and control feels like safety. So if you move faster, here's the trap. Speed gives you the illusion of control. Speed makes you feel like you're doing your job as a human. Because many of us were taught that progress looks like speed. It's decisive, efficient, productive. It's a quick response, a quick fix, and a quick turnaround time. So urgency often disguises itself as being responsible. It says, if I don't handle this, I'm failing. And the capable person that you are inside says, I'll handle it. Except you don't feel better handling it because the thing you're chasing isn't the task. It's not the to-do list, the check marked by the number of things you have to do. It's the feeling. You're chasing relief. Urgency is an attempt to feel relief, and relief is not clarity. Relief is what you feel when pressure stops, when the valve is open. Clarity is what you see when you stop running. So listen, clarity says, whew, it's over. Relief says, now I see it. Urgency hides everywhere. Let me call it a few common places that you'll find it. In your relationships, certainly. You feel a shift with someone, a pause, maybe a red text and a shorter reply, a change in tone you're interpreting. And urgency says, go fix it. In your work environment, it's a meeting request without context. It's a vague email without explanation. It's a new project without a understanding, a raised eyebrow, and a performance moment. And urgency says, prove yourself, prove it. It happens in your parenting when your kids' mood shift, or your parents, or you receive a teacher's note, or there's a friend group situation, and urgency says, control it. It happens even in your body. It's a symptom that you receive, a number on the scale that only you see. It's a guilt from a missed workout, a craving that you can't stop. It's the mirrored moment when you look at yourself and urgency goes, correct it. This all happens. It's a comparison moment. It's the panic. Urgency is not picky. Urgency goes wherever uncertainty is and wherever it lives. Let's get practical here. You know you're in urgency when silence feels personal, when the tone feels like the truth, when you're solving problems that no one assigned for you, and you're rehearsing conversations in your head like you're preparing for that courtroom. When you make decisions to get rid of comfort and don't make them out of alignment. When you do a lot, yet you feel more scattered. You're not more grounded. When you keep thinking, once I handle this, I'll feel better. Then you handle it, then you don't feel better. And my personal favorite is that you're busy and somehow you still feel behind, because urgency loves to keep you running. Movement is distracting, and movement is numbing, and movement is avoidance with a schedule. And when your calendar is packed and your soul feels empty, it's not productivity, it's avoidance with a planner. And some of you have lived in this urgency so long, it becomes your personality. You say to yourself, I'm wired for this. I'm intense. I can handle things. I move fast and I do things well. No, what you've done is you've adapted. Your nervous system has learned that speed has kept you safe. And at some point, it's worked for you. Until now, it hasn't. What happens when urgency runs too long? Well, you don't move forward. People often get stuck. And stuck often gets mislabeled. Stuck gets mislabeled as laziness. But it's not. It's often overload. Stuck is what happens when your system does too much for too long. Stuck is your brain saying, I cannot keep sprinting through this daily haunted house. Stuck has stages, certainly. Stuck starts temporary, then it often becomes a habit, then, heaven forbid, a lifestyle, and yeek, even a pattern. Not because we're weak, but because we're trying to solve emotional pressure and urgency with mental speed. Let me say that clearly. If you're stuck, it doesn't mean you're broken. It means your system is tired. Tired of bracing, tired of anticipating, and tired of managing outcomes and managing people. Tired of performance competency. And the tricky part is, you might still be getting things done. You look functioning, you're showing up, you're paying your bills, you're making dinner, you're taking care of other people, and you're making it all look like it's working. So it's hard to admit that something feels off because you can't point to one thing. You can only point to a feeling, a tightness, a pressure, the hum and buzz under your skin, the constant internal go, do something. And then you wake up again, back to the courtroom. Urgency turns your mind and feelings into that courtroom environment. Everything becomes evidence. Everything becomes a case. Everything becomes an argument. You're thinking, you're litigating, objection, sustained, overrule, and redirect. You're cross-examining your own life. And the other side of the courtroom has its exhibits too. The text that you didn't send, or the one that you did that you didn't mean to or want to. It's the fear. Then, because you prepare, you start building your closing argument. You're way ahead of the game. You draft the perfect message. You craft the perfect explanation. You plan the perfect timing. Urgency loves a well-written speech. Clarity loves a well-timed breath. Courtroom living is exhausting. And because you're in urgency, you're not present. You're predicting. You're managing what might happen. You're overthinking. You're rehearsing every possible outcome. You try to prevent pain by controlling the future. And if you live through instability, judgment, criticism, chaos, abandonment, your system learned if I stay ahead, I feel safe. If I keep running, then nothing will chase me. When you do choose speed, speed often gives you something to do because you can't tolerate the unknown. Speed gives you a job. Speed gives you the illusion that you're making progress. Sometimes speed gives you an identity. You're the one that handles everything. You have people that rely on you. You're the strong one, the capable one. And hear this with kindness. Sometimes urgency is not about the decision. Sometimes urgency is about who you think you have to be in order to deserve the love you want. So you say to yourself, if I'm easy, I'm safe. If I'm quick, I'm valued. If I'm helpful, I'm kept. If I'm on top of everything, no one leaves. You know what? That's exhausting. It's not strategy. It's a survival story. You can honor the part of you who learned it, certainly, without continuing to live inside of it. Let's sit here for a minute, because this is where most people's story gets tangled. You were praised for being capable. You were rewarded for being responsible. You were valued for being the one who handles everything, for carrying the load. And somewhere along the way, competence stopped being a skill that you had and started being the price that you paid for staying safe. Let me tell you what I mean. When you were young, you were capable. People noticed. Teachers called on you. Parents relied on you. Coaches counted on you. Friends leaned on you, and it all felt good. It felt like you mattered. So you did more. You handled the crisis. You smoothed out the tensions, and you carried the weight. You figured it all out. And every time you did, you got the signal. This is your value. Not this is that I am valuable. You kept saying to yourself, this is how I become valuable. It should have been, you are valuable. But by performing with confidence and under pressure, and if you grew up in a house where things were unpredictable or emotions ran from hot to cold, your safety depended on you reading the room. You learned quickly, you learned to maintain things before they exploded, and learned to smooth before conflict landed. You learned to be 2 steps ahead and 3 versions prepared. Always ready, your survival strategy was confidence, and it worked. It kept you safe as a child. It kept you needed. It kept you from being burdened. Here's the part nobody tells you. That skill saved you as a kid, but it trapped you as an adult because confidence becomes a cage. You're so practiced at managing everything else, you forget to ask yourself, do I want to manage this? You're so skilled at saying calm under pressure, you don't even notice your own needs until they're screaming at you. You're so capable of carrying your load and everyone else's, you stop to ask people to share it. And the most painful part is that no one sees the cage you put yourself in because from the outside, you look sustainable. It looks successful. You look like you have it all together. You look steady and people say, I don't know how you do it all. I don't know how you handle everything. And you just smile and shrug because you're good at it. It's a strategy you've used for years. You've been doing this so long, you don't know what else to do. It's your whole life and it's a pattern. But inside of you, you're exhausted. You're resentful. You're wondering when it became your job to continually carry everything for everyone. And you're scared to stop because what if people don't need you anymore? What if the reason you matter is because you're useful? Ugh. That's the cage. You're not locked in by other people. You're locked in by your belief system that your value is tied to your output, by the belief that your love is earned through competence, by the belief that resting makes you selfish. And let me say something you need to hear. You're not a human doing, you're a human being. Your worth is not a performance review. Your value doesn't require a to-do list. And people who only love you because you're useful, that's not connection. And here's how you know. You're living in that cage when you say yes when you mean no, when you over-explain, when you set a boundary or you don't set a boundary. You feel guilty when you rest and you're anxious when someone else is struggling and you're not able to fix it. You feel like a failure when you ask for help, and you often internally keep score. You keep score of what you've done, what you've given, what you've sacrificed, and what you're losing. Because in the cage, that score always shows you're losing. You're never give enough. You never do enough. And quite frankly, you feel like you're never enough. So the more you do, and the more that it doesn't create peace, the more it creates depletion. And I know this intimately because I lived it. I was last on my own priority list. Sometimes I didn't even make my list, not because I was selfless. No, because I believed it was my job to make sure that everyone else was okay first. I thought being needed meant being loved. I thought being capable meant being valued. And if I could just handle one more task, prove one more time that I was strong enough, reliable enough, easy enough, then I'd finally get to rest. I'd finally get the love that I deserve. But rest never came because the finish line kept moving. There was always one more task on the list and one more thing to do, one more person to manage and to please, one more crisis to smooth out, and one more expectation to meet. And I kept running, not because I wanted to, because I didn't know how to stop without feeling like I was failing everyone. Here's what broke the cage for me. I got so tired, I couldn't perform anymore. My body, my head, heart, and gut, my intuition said no and no, and no more. I had to face the question that I had been avoiding my whole entire life. What if I'm not useful? Will I still matter? Sitting with that question was brutal because part of me believed the answer was no. Part of me believed my whole value system was tied to what I could do for other people. Part of me believed that if I stopped carrying their load, all the load, everyone would leave. And you know what happened when I did stop? Some people did leave. The people who valued me for what I could do, the people who saw me as a resource and not as a person, the people who wanted my competence, not my presence. And losing them hurts, certainly. Losing any relationship hurts. But it also freed me because people who stayed, they didn't stay because I was useful. They stayed because they loved me, not for what I did or for who I am. And that changed everything. Let me tell you what competence in a cage looks like in real time. You get a text from someone who's upset. Your first instinct is fix it. How can I support? That's what you should be asking is, how can I fix this so they're okay and I don't have to absorb their pain? You hear about a problem at work and your first thought is, I'll handle it. Not, is this mine to solve? You just say, I'll handle it, because handling feels like control and control feels like safety. Someone asks you to help with something and your answer is always yes. Very quick, yes. Not, let me check my capacity. Not, can I get back to you? It's always the quick yes, because saying no feels like you're letting people down, like you're just disappointing people. And disappointing people feels like losing love. That's the cage. It's automatic, it's invisible, and it's the water you've been swimming in for so long, you don't even notice you're wet. So how do you get out of it? Not by trying to be less competent. Competence is a gift, it's a skill, and it's beautiful. You get out of it by separating competence from your worth. You get out of practicing and using this sentence. I am valuable whether I do this or not. It's important. Let's pause. It's valuable whether I do this or not. Not, am I valuable when I do this? Not, I become valuable by doing this. It's, I'm valuable whether I do this or not. This is a key to the cage, to letting yourself out. And at first, it will feel like a lie. Your nervous system will argue. Your internal courtroom will start back up again. The legal team will file a motion. But if you don't do this, what happens? Well, I'm not sure, but I know what will happen if you stay in the cage. You'll get smaller, you'll get quieter, you'll get more resentful, and you'll start disappearing inside your own confidence and value. So the practice is not perfection, the practice is a pause. And before you say yes, you pause. Before you take on one more task, pause. Before you fix anything and anybody, and you try to fix a problem, you pause. You ask one question. Is this mine? Not, can I do this? Of course you can. You're capable and you can handle it. The question is this mine to carry? Sometimes the answer is yes, and you carry it with clarity. And sometimes the answer is no, and you set it down with kindness. And sometimes the answer is, this is mine to care about, but not mine to fix. And the last one is the hardest because caring without fixing feels like failing. But it's not. It's love without control and support without rescue. More importantly, it's presence without performance. And it's not the only way out of the cage. You can do a quick check-in. Right now, wherever you are, answer this. Are you rushing? Not what are you doing, but are you rushing? A decision, a conversation, a fix, rushing a response, a timeline, a text, a version of yourself that feels like you have to become someone else. Let's take one breath in and one breath out. Notice nothing changes with that one breath. Let your nervous system hear the message. We're just slowing down. So how do we get out of urgency? Not by trying harder, not by doing more quicker, not by forcing ourselves to calm down, not by shaming ourselves into spiraling. We get out of urgency by interrupting the pattern, by creating a pause. If someone you love came to you with the same situation you're in, Would you tell them to sprint, to move fast, to make a decision and move on quickly? Or would you tell them to fire off a text, to make the call, to solve it tonight, to prove themselves, to lock it down? No, you wouldn't tell them that. You would tell them to breathe, to gather the facts, get the data, sleep on it, to stop negotiating their worth in real time. That's clarity. And you deserve to offer yourself the same care you hand out so easily. Pause is not avoidance. Pause is respect. And it's choosing to respond and not react. It's choosing alignment over adrenaline, truth over theatrics, and direction over noise. And if you do nothing else, do that. Take one pause. Let the room come into focus. Then move your eyes, open them. Not in a dramatic pause, not in a huff or a puff, in a practical pause. A pause for you, and a pause you can use any day and any time. A pause in a meeting and a pause before you send a text. You can use it with your kids in the car or with your partner. A pause you can use anytime, because urgency hates space, and space is exactly what you need, because space brings awareness, and awareness gives you options, and option gives you power. The goal is not to eliminate urgency forever. The goal is to notice it sooner, to name it quicker, and stop it from running everything in your life. And let me give you one more tool you can use. I call it the map. It's not a 10-year map. It's not a vision board or a dramatic reinvention. It's a map for the moment. It's the moment you're in, because urgency collapses in time. Urgency makes everything a right now situation, and a map expands time. A map gives you a path. Urgency shows up and asks you 3 questions. And this is what the map does. Think of it as your head. You start with the facts and the knowledge. Not the story, not the hypothetical, not the fear, not the prediction. Just the facts. No assumptions. What happened? What was said? What was done? What actually was known? And urgency often inflates this meaning. Facts pull you back to reality. The second question goes down to your heart. What am I feeling? You name the feeling, not the thought, not the anxiety. What am I feeling? Is it hurt, embarrassment, rejection, overwhelmed, scared, lonely, angry, love, fear? Yes. And now you move down to your gut, to your intuition. That's the third question. What do I know? Most people skip this one. They stay between the argument between the head and the heart. It's not drama. It's not panic. This is your internal truth, your intuition. What is your gut telling you? The signal underneath all the noise. What do we know to be true? What does alignment between your head, heart, and intuition feel like? What would you do if you weren't afraid? Your gut and intuition speaks quietly, and urgency tries to speak over it. So you have to lower the volume of urgency before you can actually hear your alignment. And once you do the map between your head, heart, and intuition, add the pause, like I taught you today, we talked about, you don't have to decide at your emotional peak, at the anxious level. You don't have to decide at that peak of anxiety. You don't have to respond during that peak. You don't have to fix anything during that peak. Urgency tries to force you into action at that exact moment when you have the least amount of clarity. Because in that peak of anxiety, adrenaline, heart pumping, blood moving, you're not choosing, you're reacting. So the pause is a boundary with your own nervous system. It's you saying, thank you for trying to protect me, but I'm going to slow this down myself. It's you taking that list and that tapping of the clipboard and that low hum away from fear. Peak feelings make terrible decisions. Let me give you a script that you can steal at any time. At work, you saw your note and you say, I'm going to have to review this and circle back. I want to think about this before I answer. I'm going to take a break and come back with a clearer response. Maybe in your relationships, it's, I care about this, but I want to respond when I'm steady. I'm going to take a little bit of time and come back to this. I'm not ignoring you, I'm just slowing down. But it's important that you come back. You don't just remove yourself from the environment. You set expectations that you're coming back. You do nothing that needs to be decided today. It can wait an hour. You can sleep before you choose. And if anyone, even a nervous system, gives you pushback for taking that pause, remember, the person who benefits most from urgency is rarely you. And motion is doing something, anything, sending the text, having the conversation, making another list, saying yes, saying yeah. No, motion feels active, it feels reactive, and it feels, sometimes it can feel responsible, but motion is often loud. Motion can be exhausting, that's for sure. Let's think about this metaphor. There's a baby in a car seat, and the car is driving down the road. It's moving, and the scenery is flying outside the windows. The car covers ground, and from the outside, it looks like progress, movement. From the baby's point of view, it can't focus on what's happening outside. There's too much activity, too much noise, that hum from the car. The radio's on, there's things happening. It doesn't know where the sound is coming from. It just knows it as overstimulation. It's too much input too fast. The baby tries to track it. It tries to figure out where it's coming from. It tries to settle and decide to compartmentalize what it is and what it's doing. And it tries to regulate. It can't, it's in overload. And then, quite frankly, the baby collapses into sleep. Not a restorative sleep, an exhaustive sleep. It shuts down. And we as adults do this too. We stay busy, we cover ground, we move too fast. We call it progress. Our to-do lists, our minds overload, our bodies become tense, our focus fades. Access to clarity disappears and we collapse. Direction feels different, and direction has intention. Direction has steadiness, even when it's hard and your body settles. Fewer words, less explaining, less convincing. More steady focus. Busy work is never ending, and tasks usually signal motion without direction. We all have our lists and we all want to push through them. That doesn't mean we're accomplishing anything. You know you're in urgency when your body tells you, when it sends a message immediately, even though you feel activated. You're chasing relief. You're not asking what's aligned. You're asking, how do I make this feeling stop? You're mind reading and assigning silence and tone. You're building a case, collecting evidence, and rehearsing arguments. Your body's tight. Your breathing is shallow. And your body tells the truth before your mind admits it. Your nervous system keeps track of everything. And here's a reset you can use. This is urgency. You just identify it, and then you choose a pause. Not a 10-step pause, not a full routine, not a personality transfer. Plant just a pause, and that pause creates options. It creates freedom, and it is the opposite of running through anything, especially a haunted house. It's when you turn the lights on when fear is around. It's when you pause to see your choices. You can delay the decision. You can sleep on it. You can eat before you decide and rest your body so that it's calmer. Sleep solves more problems than overthinking ever has. And you can ask yourself one clean question, just one. What do I need to do here? What outcome am I trying to force? What boundary is being crossed? And what I'm afraid will happen? What if I choose when I trusted myself? And it's not productivity action, it's regulated action. It's loosening your shoulders and raising your head and putting your chest out and taking your hand and putting it on your chest. It's regulating your breath and your body. It's telling your nervous system that you're safe enough to slow down. Regulation first, decision second. This works because clarity doesn't arrive through force. Clarity arrives through presence, and presence needs a nervous system, not a sprint. When you slow down, you see patterns, you hear your own truth, you notice what's real. Not everything is urgent, and not everything is urgent is important, and not everything important is urgent. Urgency has one goal, immediate relief, and clarity has one goal, alignment. Urgency says right now, and clarity says right. And if you're thinking, okay, Kathleen, I hear you. I'm the handle person. Yeah, the same. All of us were trained into competence. We learned how to keep moving when we were scared. And people praised us for it. We were strong, we were capable, and we were resilient. What they didn't say was that you were so tired. You're so alone in your own head. You're so practiced at pushing down your own needs that competence became that cage you put yourself in because everyone expected you to handle it. You stopped asking what you want and stopped asking what alignment feels like. And stability becomes a goal, even if it costs you a little bit of peace. And yes, the capable person inside you will argue. Your internal legal system will file a motion and will deny it. So you need to let time pass. Your mind starts narrating. Urgency says, they're mad. What did I say that was wrong? You need to stop fixing it. You need to pause, map it, head, heart, and gut. Get the facts. What are the feelings? What does your gut know? And then you need to make decisions through alignment, through clarity. I can wait. I can pause. I don't have to decide at an emotional peak. Waiting is not weakness. Waiting is restraint. Waiting is self-trust. And here's the core question. Am I moving from alignment or am I moving from fear? Not am I moving? Plenty of people are moving. You're moving. Fear is moving. The same action can be done in two different places. You can send a message from alignment and you can send a message from fear. You make the decision. You can make the decision from fear. Same action, different energy. Same outcome, different outcome. Different cleanup work later. Pressure-driven choices create cleanup work. Alignment-driven choices create peace. Your practice this week is when urgency shows up, you just name it. You map it, you pause it. This is urgency. I don't have to decide on my emotional peak. If I do nothing else, do the pause. Even a small pause changes directions. And if you want a bonus practice, try this. Before you respond to anything, ask yourself, do I want relief or do I want alignment? Relief feels good for 10 minutes. Alignment will feel good forever. Now, alignment is what we want and what we need. Urgency is the tightening of the jaw, the raised shoulders, the heart racing and the blood pumping. It's the racing mind and the overthinking. It's the urge to do something with your hands, to keep busy, the need to check, to scroll, to refresh, to reread. You've ever thought, am I reacting? What am I wanting? What's my system telling me? The uncertainty is a threat. Your brain loves certainty. Your body loves safety. And uncertainty feels like neither. Here's the simplest version. When your nervous system goes into threat mode, you don't become inactive, you become protective. You see fewer options, you hear fewer possibilities, you interpret faster, you decide quicker. And even when you have less information, urgency creates things without evidence. It's a bold move. And when you feel urgent, you treat it like you would your body signal. If your stomach growls, you eat. If your eyes burn, you blink. Your body is in threat mode, you regulate. Again, regulation first, decision second. You look for microbits. You calm your nervous system. You choose to stop feeding it. And when urgency hits, you say, give me 90 seconds. Drop your shoulders, raise your head, put your chest out. You breathe and breathe. You take a pause, not a hop or a puff. You just breathe. You create choices, and choices create power. And when urgency is screaming you to ask for yourself, is this urgent or is this important? Urgency feels loud. Clarity is quiet. Urgency is pressure. Clarity is calm. It's important that urgency plans. And some of you are living in the urgency now. It's exhausting. It's also an option. So clarity rarely shows up with fireworks. It's a breath. It's a lowering of the shoulders. It's clarity sounds like it can wait. I can ask. I can hold my boundary. I can let things unfold. I can let space occur. Clarity is a love language. It is not noise. Clarity always is comfort and always is steady. And a lot of it is just our overthinking and overreacting and saying fine in the moment. Our hands don't deserve cleanup or a mop. Competency is a skill that we need to practice and use, but not like we did when we were a child. We hear the pushback and we continue to move forward. We show up and do less for our own safety and our own sake. It's not a long journey. It's every step, small steps and small paces that we can decide on. It's waiting, it's processing, it's gathering the facts and gathering the data. And this is how you keep momentum and alignment. Motion with intention, motion with awareness. And when you feel the urgency, you borrow a question. Is the outcome, what is it I'm chasing and why do I have to chase? What boundary do I have to still stand strong in? And because it's slowing down, you're looking around, you're allowed to see, you're allowed to get the message from every input and process it, digest it, think about it, map it. It's not a deadline that has to be done. It's a choice you need to make. You have to be happy with the things you're deciding on with clarity, because clarity fills silence. And everyone's struggling. You see it, you know your own struggles. You have to acknowledge them and feel them and pause. You can't control the world, you can only control your responses. And support is about not taking control. Care is not about rescue. So your alignment is to say, I'm here and I'm listening, but I need to take care of myself first. And sometimes the most aligned thing to do is just that. It's just a pause. So regulation first, decision second. Map your feelings, feel your head, heart, and gut. What is the three of them aligned telling you to do? What is it that you need to process? Not to jump, not to chase, not to run through, but to think, feel, and know. Because clarity brings all your answers, not urgency. Urgency only makes a mess. And who wants to clean up after everything we've been through? Certainly not me. So what we need to do is we need to look, notice, gather the facts, know our feelings, acknowledge them, more importantly, and ask what our gut needs to tell us. What are we looking for? There's no wrong or right, and we just circle back. We don't have to have it be perfect. We just have to keep doing, and we do it with clarity. So let me leave you with something today that's really important. You can make your decisions one of two ways. You can walk a runway with confidence and clarity, knowing your motions and knowing your movement. You can move with purpose and move forward, or you can walk a plank. And the plank is full of fear, full of anxiety, full of that high peak emotion. It's the same direction, both the runway and the plank, same direction forward. Different experience, that's for sure. Runway says, I'm grounded, I'm ready, I can see, and I'm choosing. And the plank energy says, I'm terrified, I'm rushing, I'm bracing. Now, a lot of people think of it as the destination. Nope, it's about the path and how we walk it. It's about the experience and how we arrive on it. So one offers pride, one offers depletion, one offers connection, and the other offers resentment, urgency, or clarity. So slow down enough to see it. Get rid of the fear in the checklist. Eyes open, present, because the point is not to move fast. The point is to move true. So I'll see you next time. And until then, keep chasing purpose. I appreciate you very much. Thanks for being here today.